Welcome to today's dream, tomorrow's reality. This is season 2, and I'm Vicki Poole, board certified hypnotist, board certified hypnosis instructor, and master transformational coach. And this podcast is where we go beneath the surface to where real change actually lives. So if you've ever felt stuck and you couldn't figure out why, if you've done all the things and it still hasn't worked, you're in the right place. So let's get to it. If I told you that almost everything you think about hypnosis is wrong, would you believe me? Well, I've been a board certified hypnotist for about 6 years, and I've sat across a lot of people. And almost every one of them was curious but nervous because they thought hypnosis was something that it's not. They thought maybe I'd make them cluck like a chicken, lose control. And some even thought it only works on weak people. And by the end of every session, that was, they would say something like, that was nothing like I expected. So, why doesn't anyone tell people what this really is? So, that's what I'm doing today. And I've got 5 myths that I'm going to bust with you. And just what I was just talking about. And I just I had a session with the client just the other day. And one of the things that he shared with me, which I was so grateful that he shared, was I just wanted to let you know something. That he said, before we started working together, he said, I really thought that I was going to tell you what I wanted from hypnosis, and you would just go bippity boppity boop, and voila, I would be done. And he said, but it's so much more than that because he said it feels almost like I'm getting the therapy that I need because I'm uncovering things that I didn't even know were there. And then we're turning around and changing them and changing my triggers that were these behavior things that I didn't even know I was doing. And he said, I am so grateful for you and what we're doing together. And so I love it when somebody shares with me what it means to them and how different they expect it to be. So, anyway, let me get on to the myths. So, um, myth number 1, hypnosis is mind control. Now, this one's really scary for a lot of people. So, let me just tell you really quick. Um, I had 2 times that I had hypnosis before I ever became a hypnotist, and I'm going to share those with you right now. So the first one, I had hired a hypnotist because I wanted to lose weight. And so we started working together. And as we worked together, she came up with this idea that one of the things that was holding me back was some of these people in my life. And there was an issue with some people that were in my life. Some of them weren't even living anymore. But what she did was we were going to do a session where I would be going down a set of stairs, and at the bottom of the landing, there were going to be these people, and there were 3 of them that were going to be at the bottom of the stairs so that I could actually walk up to them in my imagination and confront them or just talk to them, whatever I wanted to do, so that it took away the sting of whatever the problem was. I won't get into that. But the interesting thing was, as I was under hypnosis, and she starts having me in my mind going down these steps toward the landing where these people are. And as I'm going down, she's counting and I'm fine. And all of a sudden, we got about halfway down. And I said, wait, I don't want to do this. And she said, are you sure? Now, you said you wanted to do this process to help you. And I said, yeah, but I don't want to do it now. And so she said, okay, so she did a pivot where there was a door to the right, and I just went through this door. But I had the ability to say, I don't want to do that. That feels uncomfortable. And we just did a pivot. There was no mind control there at all. She could not make me go down those stairs if I didn't want to. So then the other one that I had was I was on a cruise and there was a comedian hypnotist on the cruise. And so I'm one of those people that I'm an extrovert introvert. So I love to be putting my hand up. I love to be loud and proud and in front of things and popping in front of the camera and all that stuff. But then there's other times that I kind of want to sit in the back and I don't want to bring attention to me, or I might be in a certain place where it feels uncomfortable to be vulnerable or to act silly. And so I don't. So sometimes I'm looking for a way or a reason to act silly or act a certain way that's not typically me. So on this cruise, when they said volunteers come up to the stage, I went up to the stage. And I was such a good subject because what they do is they do a thing where they put everybody under hypnosis and they do certain things to see who's under hypnosis the best. And there were probably about 30 people on the stage. Sometimes I say 50, but it's probably closer to 30 were on the stage because it was full. And then when they got finished, there was only five of us that had gone deep enough into hypnosis that they felt like they were open to doing things. So I got up in front of everybody. I acted a fool. I was crazy. I said things. I didn't cluck like a chicken, but he didn't ask me to. I might have if he'd asked. But the whole time I could make decisions when he was asking a question or telling me to do something. I could logically make a decision if I felt like it was okay and it was safe to act silly. Or if I didn't, I could have said no. Nowhere in there was there any mind control. So I just want to share those two examples because what I do in my office is nothing like a lot of this stuff that you see on in movies and different things. And so and hypnosis is a lot like when you're driving a car and you know kind of where you're going. So you're not having to listen to the GPS or anything, but you go and you suddenly you get there and you don't even remember, stopping at the stop sign or going through the red light, or you don't remember any of those because your subconscious was the one that was driving the car because you were thinking of other things. You might have been singing songs, you could have been on the phone, you could have just been zoned out because you knew where you were going. And that's almost like a form of hypnosis too. But like I said, nobody can make you do anything under hypnosis that goes against your values, period. So that's myth number one. All right. Myth number two, some people think that hypnosis is sleep because the word hypnos comes from the Greek word for sleep. So that's kind of probably where some of the confusion comes from. And plus, a lot of times when you see some of these street hypnotists, they walk up to someone and they pop them and they say sleep. And then they collapse kind of thing. So it's just kind of all mixed up in there. But hypnosis is not sleep at all. Your mind is actually more focused, not less. Um, some people describe it as being deeply relaxed, but mentally sharp. And the thing is people don't seem to understand either is you don't even have to be relaxed. You do not have to be relaxed at all. All that matters is that you are open to change. And most hypnosis clients, they don't remember everything in a hypnosis session anyway, just like when you have a conversation with a friend and later on you think back, you don't remember everything word for word. You remember the pieces of the conversation that were the most relevant or meant the most to you. That's what you remember. So hypnosis is not sleep. It's like for some people, they kind of feel like they're just sitting there listening to every word I say. Some people kind of almost feel like they're in this floating state where they hear everything, but they just kind of feel like they've just let everything go. Some people are just tight and they scratch and they move and they do all these things, but they're still under hypnosis. So it's a very different experience for a lot of people. And however you are in hypnosis is perfect for you. And it doesn't mean that every single time you will be the same. I will say that the more you get hypnotized, the easier it is to go deeper into hypnosis and feel more relaxed in your body. But the main thing is just know that you don't even have to be physically, your body doesn't have to be physically relaxed for everything to work. All right, so myth number 3. It only works on weak-minded people. And I kind of talked about that just a minute ago, but this one really makes me laugh because it's actually the exact opposite. The more intelligent and creative you are, the better you respond in hypnosis because hypnosis actually requires focus, imagination, and engagement. So that's mental strength, not weakness. Think about that. So the people who struggle aren't the strong-willed ones. It's the ones so busy trying to control the process that they can't just tap into it. They can't let the control of every little thing be allowed to be open. And even those things you can work through. So if you've been telling yourself, I'm too much of a control freak for hypnosis, you might be exactly the kind of person it works best for. All right, myth number 4. Hypnosis as a one-session magic fix. And this one actually sets people up for disappointment. And I'll share a really quick thing that and I already shared about the one client that wanted me to go bibbity boppity boop and he would be fixed. But I actually had someone, and this has been a few years ago, that had been going through a really hard breakup. And what she wanted me to do was eliminate him from her memory. I said, that's not what this is. I said, for one thing, whatever you went through in that relationship, you need to learn the lesson. You need whatever it is that happened to help you in the rest of your life. So what I can do is help you remember the person, remember the lesson, but take the trigger away that has you reacting to other people because it has some kind of resemblance to what they were or what they looked like. So very different, right? So some beliefs that people have been running for 30, 40, 50 years. The subconscious installed them young, and they've had decades to become your operating system. And I like to remind people that we're like layers, like in Shrek. Donkey says that people are like onions, right? So we're onions, we're layers, and usually whatever it is you think is the issue is a symptom of the issue. So one session can shift, but it's not going to take care of everything. What it does is it actually uncovers sometimes what the real problem is, or what the real issue is. So it takes us sometimes a few sessions to peel back layers. That's not failure, that's depth. And that's why I do not usually do one-off sessions. I do packages. I do a coaching package because I want to make sure that it's a real shift. The real change, the lasting change happens when we go all the way to the root. That doesn't mean we relive tragedies and things that have happened in our life. No, not at all. We can find out what's going on without reliving things, and that's a beautiful thing. All right, myth number 5. You ready? Hypnosis is woo-woo and it's not real. Well, I respect the skeptics, I really do, because healthy skepticism is actually a good thing. We don't want to just blindly follow anybody, right? But the facts are the American Medical Association recognized hypnosis as a legitimate therapeutic tool in 1958. The Psychology Association has published studies on its effectiveness for pain, anxiety, phobias, habit change. And brain imaging studies, MRIs and brain scans, can actually show hypnosis creates measurable changes in the brain activity. Areas for attention, emotional processing, and self-awareness literally light up differently with hypnosis. This isn't woo-woo. This is neuroscience. Does that mean that every hypnotist is great? No. Quality of the practitioner matters enormously. And I will say, if you don't want help, it don't matter how much hypnosis you get. It ain't going to work. You have to want the change. So you want to make sure that you have a hypnotist who is properly trained, but the tool itself, it's real and it works. There are so many studies and so many people that can share. I have a list of a lot of people who've given me great testimonials about the changes in their life. All right. So, what actually is hypnosis? So, if it's not mind control, not sleep, not magic, not woo woo, what is it? Hmm. So, the simplest explanation is your mind has two parts: your conscious, which is the thinking, analyzing, logical part of your brain, and the subconscious is the beliefs, the emotions, habits, and automatic responses that you have curated over your life. The conscious mind is only 10% of your mental processing, and your subconscious, the other 90%. Think about that. 90% of what you do is in your subconscious mind. That's why when you try affirmations all alone and you do all these certain things, it just doesn't stick because willpower does not work because that's the conscious part of your brain. It's not the 90% that is running the show. So you have to go into the subconscious mind. So if you keep repeating a pattern over and over and over again, no amount of affirmations and are going to really do anything. And if you've noticed in your life, you've probably said, I'm never going to do that anymore. And then you find yourself a good bit later, why did I do that again? Why do I keep doing the same thing over and over? You're not the only one, right? So, hypnosis is simply a way for us to access that 90% of the subconscious mind. It's a focused state where your conscious mind quiets down. Maybe your body's not relaxed, but your subconscious mind just gets a little quiet. So your subconscious starts becoming open to new ideas, new perspectives, and new beliefs. That's it. That's all it is. It's a tool that lets us work where the real change needs to happen. And when you go into the place where the pattern actually lives and address it at the root, the change isn't just fast, it's lasting because you're not fighting yourself anymore. Wouldn't that feel good? Not to be fighting yourself anymore? I know it was transformational for me. So if any of this surprised you today, if you're thinking this is not what I thought, good. That's exactly why I made this episode. And so, just so you know, I have a beautiful, wonderful workshop that's coming up really soon. It is actually on June 24th, 2026. So, I don't know when you're watching this. It's a free live workshop called Hypnosis Myths versus Truth. And it's going to be on Zoom, 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's completely free. And I'm going to put the link in the description. So, we're going to go even deeper than what I covered today. I'm going to show you what hypnosis I'm going to show you what hypnosis actually looks like. I'll answer your questions in real time and give you a chance to experience it yourself. Yes, we will be doing some hypnosis in there. Bring your skepticism, bring your curiosity, because I want both. The link's going to be in the show notes, so just look for that. And if you know someone who's been curious about hypnosis but hasn't taken the leap, send them this episode. Send them this episode. I'm Vicki Poole. This has been today's dream, tomorrow's reality. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, if you are not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe now so that you are notified each and every time I post a new recording. And remember, life is delicious, and hopefully I will see you at the workshop.